one thing I didn't like at first, it grew on me, was the combat. I thought it was a bit button bashy, especially at the start, where it's just like square, 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 square. But as you progress throughout the game, you do unlock new moves, new abilities, new web gadgets, and it provides a lot more variety in the types of attacks you can do, and it makes the fights more fun.
So if we bring it back to our core question of best superhero game of all time, I think the only other real contender would be Arkham. Are we on the same page?
I mean, well, I've been trying to avoid this point, but I'm just going to come out and say it now. Especially at the beginning of this game, all I saw this as was Spider-Man Arkham City. Essentially, this game is Spider-Man Arkham City. From the combat, from the open world, from the stealth missions, to the story, the gadgets, the progression. Arkham City is the template. Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, whatever. Whether it was intentional or not.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think it's intentional as well, to be honest. I mean, because they have been like head and shoulders above every other superhero game.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the question of is it the best superhero game of all time is basically, is it better than Arkham?
Yeah.
Yeah? So for you, is the combat better in Arkham or is it better in the Spider-Man games?
I have been trying to think long and hard about this. At the start, the first complaint I had about Spider-Man was, the combat's a bit shit. And that's probably why, when I played it the first time, I took a big break because I wasn't immediately impressed. So at the start, I definitely would have said Batman is better combat. But even then, they're very similar. Like in Batman, you can parry, and here you have the spider sense, which is essentially like a counter. It's funny because in Batman, you parry with triangle, and in Spider-Man, you parry with circle. But at the start, I kept pressing triangle because I was so used to Batman. But overall, to answer your question, and I guess this will try to answer the question whether this game is better than whatever your favorite Arkham title is. The last game I played was Arkham Knight, the latest one. But I've not played that in so long, I can't accurately judge it. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like what Spider-Man does really excellently in the combat is it's such a fucking cliche, but it makes you feel like Spider-Man.
But I'd say that about Batman as
well. But the thing is, right, Video Game Donkey raised this point of like, when you play Arkham, Batman's floating around like a fucking ballerina, and that's like, Batman's a chunky dude. Like, when you see him fight in, what is it? Even in the Batman Begins films, he's not doing backflips and shit. That's more of a Spider-Man style of fighting. But in Arkham games, so you can move between enemies practically, he does loads of backflips and double flips and shit. So he feels a lot more like Spider-Man-y than Batman-y, if that makes sense. He doesn't necessarily feel like Batman would really feel.
I would partly agree with that, partly disagree with that. I understand his point, but when I say ballerina is a stretch, like he does flip about somewhat, but ballerina really is a stretch. And in the comics, he's flipping around anyway. I know what you mean. He's a big dude, but like in the source material, he is also flipping around doing shit.
Yeah.
You know, grappling gun.
Do you find yourself using a lot of? So in Spider-Man, when you want to finish an enemy off, you have to web them to the wall or whatever, and you've got a bunch of different gadgets to do that with. Did you find yourself using much variety in use of gadgets, or are you just using the same ones again and again?